Welcome to We Won't Finish This Podcast, a writer's room show where we pitch movies to each other that we'll never make. The way it works is one of us comes with a movie idea, the other two have no idea, so they get to hear it for the first time along with the listener, which is you. And today that person is Spaceman.
Yep, I'm Spaceman.
We're also here with Savage.
I'm Savage.
And I'm Zeebz. Spaceman, what do you got for us?
All right, this is a little bit of an interesting one. I probably should have reviewed my notes before this. So the title of this one I have as Hiber-Nation. So the story here,
What's the genre?
it's honestly it's kind of all over the place. It's there's some action, there's a little bit of horror. There's it's an alternate like kind of universe type of deal. So it's
Spooky.
yeah, kind of a little bit. So it's like I said, it's this one, like I honestly kind of enjoyed a little bit of like the world building.
Oh.
So my notes are a little more on the thin side as far as like the story goes, but like I really actually kind of liked thinking about this world in general.
I can already see the reviews. Hibernation put me to sleep.
Total snoozer.
That's probably better than what I have here, so thank you guys
No,
for that in advance.
I kid. I can't wait to hear how this nation became so hyper in the first place.
But yes,
Hyper-Nation.
so
get
obviously, as the name says here, like the story here revolves around like humans hibernate, in this sense, and then there's like a kind of a group of humans that will kind of I'll get into a little bit of the lore here that are like basically on the reverse schedule. So they kind of hold the fort down while everybody else sleeps. So
The Night's Watch.
They're the night
yeah,
shift.
sure, kind of.
Okay.
So yeah, like most humans will sleep for like 3 months, we'll say, and these guys they sleep for 9 months, and they come around, like for the time. Well, I just have it as winter.
Do you still sleep every
Are they
night?
vampires?
I mean, probably not. I don't know. I guess I didn't really think about that part.
Sounds great. To sleep every night and then just check out for 3 months every year.
Doesn't it though? Like that,
Or
that
9
sounds great.
months. Oh,
8
man.
hours a day plus 3 months out of the year?
But yeah, like
That's a
we're-
lot of sleep.
I think I know some people on that schedule.
Yeah, we're airing this one in May. I kind of had the idea earlier in the year when it was like dark and dreary out, so that's where I kind of got the inspiration from. But yeah, like that's kind of like this.
I hear Green Day wrote a song in a similar way.
Oh, did they?
Something about waking up in September. Okay.
Wake me up when September
Yeah,
ends.
yeah.
They
Okay.
wrote it
Thank
in
you so much.
March.
I thought it'd be more obvious. It was a reach.
No, like I'm not
Alright.
a big Green Day fan. They're all right.
Similar inspiration to you, though.
They got some hits.
Inspired.
They
this
got a
movie.
couple. Oop. Oh,
No, they're
spilled beer on
great.
my notes.
Oh, I don't like the later stuff, but they are great.
So like again, this one is like I said, I liked the world building a little bit here, just kind of thinking about it. The story definitely needs a little bit of help as far as that goes, but it was cool, kind of just immersing myself in that aspect of it.
Oh,
So
immerse us.
yeah, I'll
So
try.
hibernate during winter months then? Or I guess
Yeah.
it depends on where you are in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so in this world, like, I actually kind of have it pictured as like, and we'll get a little more into it in the story here. It's really like one big city. Like that's all we have here.
Okay.
It's one big city. So obviously, alternate world, whatever you want to call it, one big city. And like, I don't really get into kind of like the outer parts of the world, but
We
there-
focus on one city.
well, yeah. And like, as far as these people know, it's probably the only city in the world.
Ah, I see.
So yeah, it's like,
Surrounded by
Just
dead
like-
zone or just a massive.
just
Just like a
Globe-sized
self-contained
city.
skyscraper type of thing?
Yeah,
or
just
it's
think
like
of like
there's
a
an actual...
sprawling metropolis, one just gigantic city, and like just I don't want to say unexplored beyond that, but like it's just wilderness out there beyond that. So
They don't have. You can't get an Uber.
no, you can't get an Uber. No, not to like something else.
You're out of our delivery range.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
see.
so in here, like I have the story begin with our like we'll call them the protagonists here. Basically, it's time to wake up. Their eyes shoot open. The apparatus he's in begins to make a noise as it prepares to release them from the inside. And this is a cool name, I thought, to add to our collection of cool names here. Darren Kaine.
Darren Kaine.
Darren Kaine.
He's the
Sounds
main
pretty
character.
badass.
It is cool.
It is a cool name.
It is cool.
So Darren Kaine steps
I
out and he
approve.
scans the room around him. So this thing is like basically like he's waking up from like basically like a hibernation.
He's in
pod,
like a
essentially.
cocoon.
Yeah, basically. So he
Is
gets
this like in the future? Or like
honestly,
alternate universe?
yeah, it's alternate universe. I would kind of look at it more as just adjacent. You know what I mean? Like as far as like technology goes. So yeah, he gets up, he scans the room around him. He's in the military barracks, basically type of style building. This is where the term I have for these people, if I guess call it that, is the Windern. I just kind of needed a name to kind of name them. So these are the people that sleep for 9 months and get up
Windern?
The Windern, yeah. Like basically, like I have it mean just the children of winter.
That'll never catch on.
So it's the children of winter is kind of like how they're referred to in world.
So you said opposite schedule. So I imagine
Yeah.
the majority of people, they sleep on the ideal schedule.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the people just get the worst months.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's the
basically,
night
yes.
shift.
Yep, they get the night shift.
Yeah,
The graveyard shift, if you will.
Okay.
Maybe
So-
there's like a premium for doing the night
Yeah,
shift.
you
Some
get an
kind of
extra
bonus.
dollar.
Look
for
into
that.
that. Yeah, you're,
They get
you're,
it.
you're on the right track
There's
there.
an incentive to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so like, it's Darren Kaine here and his fellow troops. So he's kind of like, he is essentially like the leader of like a military unit that's going to basically like hold down the fort while everyone sleeps.
So just to pause, that it does, in a world like this, it would make sense that night shift is the most, we'll just call it night shift, is the riskiest time because if a war was going to pop off,
Yep.
you're not going to do it when people aren't hibernating,
Yeah.
if that's the normal flow
Yeah,
of
catch
things.
them off
Right.
guard.
So that's what you would have to assume is that, like, all right, everybody's crashing out. Like,
Yeah.
you're looking around at your other, contrarian
You've got
hibernators.
You've got an important job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, man, if we screw this up, it's over.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I
You
liked
said it's
about
just
this,
one
too.
city, so I guess that the war would be the fear of the unknown almost. It's
Yes.
you know what
This
I mean?
is
It's just like
giving me
something's going to come through the desert and just attack us that we've never heard of.
off the top.
You're on the right
like,
track.
I feel
The
like
first
I'm
5
way
minutes of
ahead
this
of the
movie, it's giving me like the Village, like the M.
Yeah,
Night
like-
Shyamalan Village with meets like 28 Days Later or 28 Days of Night
Sure.
or
Yeah.
30 Days of Night. That's what it was.
Yeah, Josh Hartnett. Yeah, I know you're a big fan. But yeah, like you guys are
You're
both on
thinking
the right
40
track.
days
Dreamy,
and
dude.
40 nights where you didn't ejaculate for 40 days.
Was that the one?
It had nothing to
that
do with.
Savage, can you confirm that?
Can't confirm.
You said
that.
Josh Hartnett in 30 Days of Night. I think you're thinking 40 days.
It was
and
in
40
Alaska.
nights.
It was a vampire
Where
movie.
he gave up ejaculating for Lent or something. You don't remember this?
No, like I had never actually seen it.
Josh Hartnett.
I remember you telling me about it because I think your ex-girlfriend
Well, I talked
was in
about, I
love
talked
with that
about
guy.
it a lot. No, I had an older sister.
Oh, that's-
Movies
that's
like
what
that
it
were
was.
in my house. But you're like, of course I talked about it. I talk about it a lot. The Josh Hartnett movie.
So yeah, like I said, you guys are definitely, you're in the right mindset here. Like that's kind of like the vibe I'm going for.
I hope that's not the vibe you're going for.
Not that part. But yeah, like working basically the night shift. Like I viewed
Okay. Yeah,
these
yeah.
people as like, these are the guys that are like they're taking care of like everything that's going on. Like anything happens, they're fixing it. Something where like if there was
Yeah,
something
you get
unknown, they're the
people.
ones that need
They
it.
have heaters or air conditioners or something going. They've got refrigerated like things like.
They're like the caretakers.
If
of
the
Yeah,
power
yeah.
goes out and you wake up from your hibernation, shit's gonna be messed up.
Yeah,
If,
exactly.
If somebody hasn't been maintaining it.
Yeah,
You know?
so exactly. Like that's what that's the idea of like I kind of really liked about this. It was
So
like
is it like hyperbolic chambers or something that they sleep in? Like it's all connected to a single power source or something
so
like that?
like we can. I mean, basically, I kind of get into some lore a little bit here later because I had a little fun writing that.
I want to be able to see him frozen in the chamber, Demolition Man style. So in my head, we can see them.
It's like a
No matter what
phone-
you
a
say, in my
phone
version,
booth.
you can see them.
So the way
Standing up.
the way I kind of looked at it was there was like long time ago it was like very hard for anybody to hibernate because you had to, and then like you would wake up, you're weak as hell, like all that stuff. So like I kind of looked at it.
Austin Powers couldn't control the volume of his voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Big P he was holding in.
You got it. So
Yeah, there's a
what
lot of consequences.
What a great movie.
And then as like technology developed and kind of came along, like basically people got more comfortable. Like they started to have way more amenities to kind of like, you know, help them out with their hibernation. Like, you know, at one point I kind of like in the lore I make a reference to
They
like,
got good at it. They were like,
Yeah,
this will help you
like, you know,
get through the journey.
right. Some rich people had like, you know, these little like pods or whatever they sleep in that would like work their muscles while they slept.
Oh, there you
so
go.
they'd wake up and they're just
They're all
jacked. You know what I mean? Like, so there's like all these
Feeling
kind of
great.
like weird technological advancements.
Like you'd get so injured. You're just like, I'm gonna feed myself in a workout machine and go to bed for
3
8
months.
hours. Yeah, it'll kill you.
So in like and I guess I mean it doesn't hurt to get into it now. Like
3
the
months, you'd be mangled.
the Windurn here, I have them as like they are essentially almost like genetically modified, like or selectively bred to kind of like inherit these traits.
They're
So-
mole people.
Kinda. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
'Cause
sure. Why not?
They're sleeping for 9 months. So
Exactly.
do they have like the workout machines or whatever?
Oh, they would have the best of the
Wait,
best.
the contrarians sleep for 9 months?
the country.
Contrarians.
Yeah, they have the opposite schedule. They say, "Oh, you're sleeping
yeah.
then. Well, that's fuck you."
The
I sleep
wind-
then.
Yeah, they sleep for 9 months, and like these people,
The
like,
Durns are the night shift, right?
Yeah,
That's
the
con-
Windurn
they're
are
the
the night-
contrarians. They go, "Oh, you guys sleep during this time? Well,
bunch of normies.
we do the opposite because that's lame."
But yeah, like I have them as like they also have like a really expanded life because of it. So like, you know, some of these people like and like I took a little inspiration here from Lord of the Rings, but
Like you only age when you're awake or something.
kinda, you know,
Okay.
kinda like I feel like the hibernation part kind of just slows everything down for everyone. So like, you know, I'll just call them the regular humans. Like it only slows down for 3 months. So like, you know, if the lifespan is like 80, maybe they, you know, live to like 100 pretty easily. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Whereas the other way around, like they're easily getting almost hitting like 200. You know, because they're only up for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is again like I liked kind of
So
writing like the world
They
building a part of it.
we have to have them not sleep when they're awake. Then they don't need sleep, and they only sleep in the
Yeah, I don't refer to
hibernation
it so
stage.
easily. Yeah,
That because we sleep probably about a third of our lives, but if that was all just chunked together on 1/3 of the year or whatever, that would
Yeah.
be a weird way to go about it. You were just awake the whole time otherwise.
right. So yeah, like you know, again, like I wrote this a little, you know, for the most part when it was just dark and dreary out. So it was kind of just like, man, it'd be nice to just sleep for a few months and get up and it's spring.
Yeah, I'll be
Like,
honest
that'd
with you.
great.
This is making me be like, I need to get more sleep. I need to go to bed early tonight.
I know, right? All right. But anyways,
All
like
the reviews are coming true.
so, like you know, Darren and his unit are all getting up. You know, they're going to other rooms. They're fulfilling their needs basically. They're eating. You know, like brushing their teeth because like, that's got to be awful. You know, in that room, like can you imagine the morning breath?
breath after
After
almost
3 months or 9 months, Jesus. But yeah, like so they're all taking care of themselves. But Darren gets up, he checks the calendar, and it had been almost 9 months to the day since he went under, so almost. So
he's up
like,
early.
Yeah, it's a slightly early. So he's like, okay, that's a little weird.
I do like you've mentioned a couple times. You're like, I love the world building I've been doing here, and then you're just like the morning breath. Can you imagine the morning breath?
Thought about
Well, yeah, it's
all
gotta
the
be terrible.
angles.
I got every detail.
Down to the minutia. So yeah, they're being brought
This
back
is the
a
important
little
stuff,
early
yeah.
this year. So like, and I do have this in my head is like when you're hibernating, you're out. Like you are just out. But
Yeah.
as
Sure.
you get closer to that like goalpost, if you will, like you can get up, but you're just like a little groggy. You know what I mean? Like, you're just not as with it as you would have been.
I feel like you're groggy no matter what. Can you imagine the first couple of days after the wake up? Everybody would just be like
Just can't get
in their
it
house,
going.
Yeah.
not doing shit. Yeah, they're just like
basically.
This is what they'd all be doing. They'd be in their house going, I just don't want to do anything.
Can we order out? Like,
We've
who's
all-
going to deliver?
We've all done it. Well, the
the
Night's
night
Watch.
shift.
They'll bring you something.
So yeah, they're being brought back a little early this year. So like, and I kind of gloss over this. Like after their standard reintegration routine, whatever that is, Darren's first command was to meet with the upper leadership and be briefed on the happenings from while he and his men were at rest. Basically, he makes his way through this massive complex, passing by many military personnel and science officers, saying hello on occasion. where we have it now, it's just this big like government, military building. Again, like these guys are all getting woken up. Like there's like many of these like platoons, whatever you want to call it. So he's just the head of one of them.
Okay.
And they all have their own like basically patrol areas. Maybe they get assigned to different ones each year. Something like that. So bunch of like basically the Night's Watch all waking up.
The purple cobras and the blue barracudas.
Yep, the blue barracudas step forward. But yeah, so like that's what happened now. Everybody's just like waking up for the night shift. So he makes his way through this building and he goes to this conference room where a meeting's just ending. It's other military leadership, all there, and they all start to clear out because they like just finished up. And Darren's superior acknowledges him. Now I'm not good with military like ranks or anything, and this is made up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So Darren Kaine is a major. Like,
somebody's gonna hate this.
Oh, they probably will.
Somebody's gonna be so angry.
We're gonna get some hate comments, and I'm sorry. I just don't know.
This is
better.
an alternate universe. They might do things a
This
little
guy
differently
thinks that
over there.
corporal's higher than a major.
It's like, to be fair, I refer to the other character here as a general, so I feel like that's safe.
Generally
I don't
speaking.
even know either. I'll be honest with you. Neither of us know.
I think general is the highest. I think. I mean, it seems like it.
1 star, 2 star general.
Yeah, there we go.
I feel like we're spending so much time on it. The
That's like a
anger's
third degree
growing.
black belt.
Filling with rage. So here's my. I just like to picture that since you're talking, we keep referring to it as night shift. Is that picturing it as just one work shift? Them essentially waking up because you don't go to bed, so I'm sure their hours are crazy.
And
Oh,
the
yeah.
people
You
that
know?
have been on night shift for a long time, like you can tell there's like
I'm just picturing it like
Different.
a job where it's very early, where people go in, where like the first half hour nobody really does anything. They're just like drinking water.
maybe
and,
they
like,
live
water
longer, but they
cooler.
look
Yeah.
way older.
They're
Like they've
just like
lived
they're drinking,
rough life.
drinking coffee, finishing a bagel or something, or like maybe somebody's got donuts, and that's the whole first like 30 minutes of the day. I'm picturing that would be like the first 2 weeks
Yeah.
of after night shifters wake up, is they're just chilling, and it's just caught just like, oh,
So one
I don't
thing
want to do anything.
One thing I kind of like about this too, like I had the thought of like there's a very short transition period, so we'll kind of get to that in a minute here. But
The main people would have to make sure that they closed up good.
Yeah,
because it's
exactly.
like, hey, they're not going to do shit for 2 weeks, so we got to make sure the power doesn't go out.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be. Some of them even fall back asleep. I hear.
yeah,
You know?
exactly. But yeah, like that. There is like a transition period. Again, I'll kind of get into that in a couple minutes here, but yeah, like I like that aspect of like there's just this brief crossover, of like the day shift and the night shift.
Morning, Ralph.
They gotta like punch a
Morning,
clock.
Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Sheepdogs from Looney Tunes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, there
exactly
you
what I
go.
was
Yeah.
picturing.
Yep. So he walks into this conference room and he meets his superior there. And General Call is the guy I had as his superior. It doesn't really matter.
What does his badge look like as a general?
I don't like that
don't
question,
do that.
to be honest.
All right, yeah, sorry. Carry
That's
on.
offensive. So Major Kaine, nice to see you. How was your R&R these last 9
Sounds
months?
a lot like Major Payne.
That's
Damon-
I didn't think of that, but close.
Damon Wayans.
Maybe Damon Wayans is
Yeah, maybe
Darren
we should
Kaine.
cast some of these.
Good
characters.
movie.
Yeah, maybe.
Darren
So well, that's who I'm picturing now. So thanks.
All right. So, General Call, sir, thank you. Like, it was not memorable as usual, although I'm a bit sluggish from the early rise.
And his gold tooth twinkles.
Yep, exactly. So Darren and General Call exchange, a couple pleasantries and begin to discuss the transition. So, like it's a handoff. All the current military, whatever, they're all going to be going to sleep.
They're slow to get started, but also like the people that are in a rush because they're gonna have to hibernate. So maybe they're like running around trying to get all this stuff done.
The ultimate shift change stress of people just walking around like, who
It's
closed
happening.
last
It's
night?
happening.
Basically,
Who closed last night?
there is a layer of grease and nobody did the dishes.
Oh, look at the grease trap. Yep. Nobody did shit. Who was it?
When they wake up in 3 months, they're gonna find out about this.
Wait till they see what we didn't do in 3 months.
So yeah, I'd already kind of touched on this part, but like, yeah, this is a little lore break. But like, basically, like,
I love a refreshing lore break.
I had it as like,
we just get started.
yep, like long
Cool
ago,
off, cool back a little bit.
I had it as like, basically, like people kind of looked at the night shift almost like slavery in a way. like this is like long ago. Like it was kind of like
So
So they're not volunteering to do
it,
this.
it didn't used to be like this was kind of like a forced thing. Remember, I said it was like selective breeding, like that kind of stuff.
so
to
they
inherit
elect
these
you to.
traits
You're
and-
like, but I'm a morning person.
yeah, there you go.
So, but here,
They're
okay.
like gladiators. Like
So
you have to
I-
spend so much time on the night watch.
I know
and then
maybe
you
we're
can
just
be a normie.
I know maybe we're just moving slow here, but like, as of right now, we have a setting. We have the details of like, okay, this is the hibernation, the shift change, whatever. This is like the first 3 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
basically.
Like, we,
10,
like so that's
10.
all I'm saying is because if you compare it to other things like,
yeah, my pacing's not great. I'm sorry.
well, no, well, no, but I'm saying
We're
is
getting
that I
sidetracked.
feel like we're spending, we are getting sidetracked, but it's like, Game of Thrones, The Night's Watch, those kind of things. Like there's a lot going on surrounding it, and as of right now, we've established that they're like, it's just a big dead zone around them. Nobody knows if anything's out there. It's like, well, we got to keep it moving.
Well, no, we're in a lore break.
I don't think we have time for a lore break.
I
is
don't
what I'm
have
trying
that
to
many
say.
pages here. So
Oh, okay,
We're gonna
all
take a
right.
lore break.
We could have told us that before the episode. And I
Okay, so this is the lore of the Night Watch.
How
Man.
many lore breaks
Just the
do
one,
you
honestly.
have in those pages?
Just the one. There's a little bit of a story, like
You got
kind of like
hand
story
drawn
in a
maps
story
in
here.
there.
I could. That'd be pretty
It
sweet.
would be better if you did have a deep lore in a whole novel and hand-drawn maps, and he developed
And
his own
nothing
in a
happens.
language.
But anyways, like this was looked at almost like slavery a long time ago. It was like basically just really messed up. Selective breeding, like by the state leaders, creating a separate class of people. And like basically at one point, like there was a Windern uprising that killed a bunch of people. Because, like, I mean, you're working the night shift and you don't want to work the night shift.
You can fuck some shit up.
Oh, yeah, you could fuck some shit up.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah,
like,
that's
I
just like a matter of time. Like,
it's freezing
because when you
temperatures.
were first telling me that there's like two different split shifts, I thought it was like they were not working together, that they were like the enemies,
Yeah,
basically.
a long time ago,
Rival
yes.
tribes.
Yep.
So I would say that they're on the same side, but I would consider that there'd be a lot of pranking going on back and forth.
Just
You
putting
woke up
people's
and you got
hands
like
in,
a
warm
Sharpie
water.
mustache.
You're like half the town has whipped cream on their hands, and tomorrow we're gonna go around with a feather and hit everybody.
Yeah, like I like that. Like, but yeah, there was like, but in all seriousness,
I farted
like,
in
there's
his
some
container.
fucked up stuff that happens.
Yeah, I've been farting in my enemy's bedroom every day while he sleeps.
Basically, like I did it in Tupperware, and then I just like opened the Tupperware right in front of their nose.
You don't want night shift roommates.
You
Yeah,
get
no, you
hot
don't.
box for 3 months straight.
Yeah, you just wake up and go, why do my clothes smell like this? My whole closet. Jesus.
But
Have
yeah,
you been in here? He goes, no, I didn't go in there one time.
so yeah,
Been in
there,
there 4 times a day.
so yeah, there was this Windern uprising, killed a bunch of people.
Oh, back to the lore.
Yeah, back to the lore.
We're still in a lore break.
Yeah, like
apparently.
So like but this explains like how there was a bunch of changes that were made. So now like after that happened, like they kind
Okay.
of forced the hand. Like now they're treated like extremely well. So now, like I said, like they get
won.
these like awesome chambers. Like
they went on strike.
Yeah,
Now that they've
sure.
unionized.
Yeah.
They unionized.
Okay.
it.
But yeah, they get like when they get up, they've got all the best food ready for them. Like they got like entertainment ready to go, booze everywhere if they want it. Like all that kind of stuff. Any of like that kind of stuff you can think of. Like that's what's happening with the night shift now.
The opposite of real night shift. Where there's
Basically,
nothing
yeah.
to order and
Yeah.
you're eating like a cold sandwich.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that's kind of like how I set this up as far as like like again back in the day there was this bad thing that happened. Now it's like actually pretty good for them. So like and they're everybody kind of respects each other now and like
So, like, that's the shift that you want then?
yeah, I would say at this point kinda.
People are, like, competing to get on the night shift?
Yeah. So, but yeah, like as
It's
the
like pretty
discussion
sweet deal now.
Yeah,
Only have
it-
to work for 3 months out of the year,
basically you get to sleep the other 9.
and you get all the perks.
Well, and they'd have to pay you like 3 times as much so that you could sustain yourself for the year. I guess you wouldn't have like
They
you
don't
have
really have any need
3
for
months.
money.
Well, but you'd still have to like a place to sleep and your chamber and
Yeah.
whatever. That's
Yeah.
there's gotta be fees. But there would be
Okay.
I guess you wouldn't have to like entertain yourself those other 9 months out
Yeah.
of the year.
Oh,
Like
exactly.
you would be being 0 for entertainment. It would just
Right.
be minimum.
They're like
job.
in a coma.
Shut off
Yeah.
my phone for 9 months.
Yeah, remember
you know,
these
like,
people? They're like military.
No
So, like,
internet,
nothing's
nothing.
going
It's like
on.
just throw me in a chamber.
Yep,
But
exactly.
maybe the chamber's more expensive than living. That's what you got to think. Like
Maybe
I don't
there's
think it
different
costs
grades
anything.
of chamber. You can get like a shitty one, or
Did
you can
you-
get one that's like really cool.
So
That's
did
got
you
all
know-
the bells and whistles.
Did you know that there is a it's in Arizona. It's kind of weird. It's in like suburbs. This is a total sidetrack, but there's buildings where people are frozen, like
Oh yeah, Walt Disney.
Cryogenic.
well, yeah, cryogenic style, but like there's different fees of like do you want your whole body, or some people are like just a head. And there's apparently like in the suburbs of like
I hope they got good air
big city
conditioning.
Arizona essentially. And I can't remember what city. I think it might have been Scottsdale or something.
Mhm.
But apparently they're all like Bitcoin people that like made a bunch of money, and they think the money is going to keep growing because it needs to pay for itself. Like, how could you future proof?
Oh, I'm not rich enough yet.
Well, yeah, like how could you future proof the fees of being stored like that?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's a very, and like the whole thing is designed as a weird investment
Don't
fund
lose
to,
your
like,
flash drive.
keep the
Yeah.
money working for it. But yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so lore
We lost
breakover.
everybody on my Bitcoin talk.
But yeah, but the discussion continues for the transition. But General Call starts to explain to Darren that there have been some reports of subterranean tremors for the past few months. So we're starting to have like something odd going on. This isn't normal.
It's not even coming from the outside dead zone. It's coming from
Yeah, they're just detecting it.
Beneath,
They don't know
from-
what to
From
make
down
of it
below.
yet. And yeah, with that, the military scientists they have going on it right now, they're struggling. They're basically like fighting the clock, trying to see if they can figure anything out with it, because they're about to pass out in like a week or two. So they're trying to figure it
So
out.
is it?
so
Like,
that's what it is. They're like, oh man, they see the tremors or whatever on their machinery, and they're like, oh no. They're like,
yeah, their bodies like physically will not let them
They're
stay
like,
awake.
This is bad.
Sounds like a night shift problem.
Just looking at the clock. I don't know. I'm out of here
Like
pretty
the
quick.
closer and closer it gets to time, you're just like walking around like the sleepy dog from the cartoon.
Like, I'm out of here in 20 minutes. I'm not fucking dealing with this.
But yeah, exactly. Like they can't figure it out. They're fighting the clock. Like, basically it might be something simple as like maybe some tectonic shifts.
Just a room full of military people yawning and being, I don't know.
Focus,
I
focus,
don't
everybody.
think I could do this. It's
Damn it,
something-
everybody, get some coffee.
I'm pretty sleepy.
But yeah, so it's just like they just can't figure it out. It might be something simple, might be something more complex. Like they just don't know.
Damn it, man, pay attention.
And the Windern, the winter people, like they lack the scientists to be able to really do this, because like that's just not really what they're
Skeleton
for.
crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
They have some people they can kind of help with it, but they're just like they're not the military scientists.
What percentage of the population would you say like the night shift versus day shift?
Oh, very minimal.
Yeah.
Very minimal. Like I would
so
say
they're like
they're-
special forces.
Yeah, they're like maybe 5% tops. Something like that.
They're just there to keep it going.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
like like something like falls into disrepair. They show up, they fix it.
Well,
you know,
every
it's-
Pretty
night
interesting.
shift.
Okay.
Every night shift, there's at least one guy who like he knows his shit,
yeah.
and he's there to babysit everybody else who they don't really know or care what's going on.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I've seen. So that would be my experience.
Well, it sounds like some of these guys have been doing it for a long time though.
Yeah, like I actually have Darren as like he's like actually like in his
Darren
70s as far as like linear years go, but he's like basically like he just looks like a guy in his prime, because like he's on the 9-month and 3-month thing. So like yeah, it just kind of works like that, to where like they get like really old, but obviously don't age as normal. So yeah.
Imagine being put on like a double last minute where your night shift, you start yawning, and then they go, "Hey, we're gonna need you to work a double."
I'd be like,
Come
all
on,
right,
you just,
cool,
like-
and I'd just be asleep.
It was just 3 months of you just like just doing nothing.
But yeah, so Darren thinks to himself, okay, these subterranean tremors, like that must be the reason like we're getting woken up a little bit early, because like this isn't normal.
Is there a hard like countdown like everyone's gonna fall asleep at this moment. We've got
I feel like it's more of just
hours
kind
or
of like
days left.
it is like a transition period. So you got like a solid couple of weeks where people are just starting to drop off. You know what I mean?
I like to picture
okay,
they're
so-
all wearing the old timey like nightcaps, and
bunch of
pajamas.
Ebenezer Scrooges.
Yeah,
Just meeting the three ghosts.
like sleep is a big deal
Yeah, it really is in this world.
with them. Yeah,
All right, but yeah, like after being fully briefed, Darren gets the rare opportunity to explore the city while it's still going, because you got to think these guys normally wake up pretty much last minute. Like they don't like nothing's
that is
really going on.
exciting. They wake up and everything's like jumping, and then within a week it's like, wow, everybody's gone.
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I kind of
It's like
liked
all the tourists left and went back
Everything's
Yeah.
closed.
Like I kind of like that idea. Is like, yeah, it's just like a normal busy city going on right now, which these guys never get to see.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
being in like a vacation spot, like in the off season.
Yeah.
where like nobody's really like making
Harry
money.
Potter goes
like-
into Diagon Alley for the first time.
Yeah, so like I mean, there's some overlaps, but it's like barely any. Like so like they actually get to like enjoy like a week or two essentially.
Yeah.
While it's
So
going on.
they're all just doing essential jobs. They're working at the power company. They're working for like
Yeah, for the
basic
most part, yeah.
utilities essentially.
There's probably
And there-
some guards or something.
There'd
Yeah,
be there'd
exactly,
be guards and there'd be very small bits of like there'd be military stuff like we've been talking about, but then like very scaled down entertainment.
Yeah, right.
So that's where maybe you get a breakout entertainer that he is a night shift guy.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, he doesn't do daytime.
1 week
shows.
only.
We know that people are like waking up from hibernation to go see Taylor Swift, or something. They're like, well, she's night shift. She.
Yeah, Tay-Tay's night shift. You
Like,
you got like a
limited
couple of
time
days.
You
only.
have to wake up in February to go see Tay Tay.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never heard that name. I'm mimicking
I've heard it many
you.
times.
Imitating you.
So most people are finalizing their preparation for their hibernation. They're buying last minute items. Again, like Darren's walking around, he's checking out the city right now. Hibernation's come a long way in the past few decades. Like nearly everyone had tanks similar to what Darren, awoke from. Although theirs are for just obviously shorter term use. That's where I had kind of like the the tanks that work your muscles. Like that kind of stuff. Like
Oh man, I'm just thinking of the pain of realizing that
It's like an auto car wash, like automatic
I'm just realizing the pain.
shaving you while you're asleep.
I'm picturing the pain of like your tank being fucked up, but you don't realize until like it's time
for
to go to
3
bed.
months.
Well, no, you just don't
yeah.
realize. Like you just don't touch it, and then it's time to go to bed, and you're like, oh no, like this thing is
Damn it.
it's not working right. And it'd be like, you ever had like an air mattress that's like deflating, but it's halfway through the night, and you're just like, I guess
or like
I'll
a
just-
water bed that goes
Yeah.
cold.
I'll just deal with it. And yeah, that's just what I'm picturing. There's so many people that need last minute tank repair.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like, so he's checking this stuff out for like, we'll just say a couple, a week or two, something like that. It's a rare opportunity. But yeah, as the transition period starts to come to a close, the city just becomes more and more like lifeless. Like people are just starting to drop off. They're starting their hibernation. Winter, it had already largely set in. So it's like, it's already happening. Darren had assigned members of his unit to their specific tasks, and they had their patrol areas set. So I kind of picture again as like, a bunch of different units, kind of like it's a big city. Like this is probably the only one in the world.
Blocks and blocks.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll get like certain parts of it to, to really look after.
You keep bringing this up so much. I think there's another city.
There's not. I'll just spoil it now. There's
Look how
not.
many pages I have. I don't have enough for another
No,
city
there's
here.
there's not
city
enough
here.
for more
Okay.
for more cities here. But
It's
yeah,
not in the lore.
it's not in the lore. But
I will say, protect those pages. I see Savage screen peeking.
Oh, I'm not.
I saw it. That's the downfall.
peeking?
The downfall of the table is he's
The
screen
notes are right
peeking.
here.
I'm looking for the maps.
Yeah, he is. He's trying to beat you to the.
he's
what is it?
leaping ahead. He's
The-
coming up with zingers.
Is it a treasure or what is it? What is it? What are we building towards?
But yeah, so Darren meets with
gotta
General
know.
Call one last time to discuss any operational matters. Talk over readings. The subterranean tremors. They had quieted down a little bit, but they're still happening. Nothing more that could be done. It's time had run out. All the scientists, they're hibernating now. It's left to the Windern to see things out. So it's all them now. So,
The normies are out.
yep,
The
they dipped
Windern
out.
is
They're
taken
done.
Not one scientist has
Not one.
been
Not a single
assigned.
Nope,
to-
they're asleep. What can you do?
They need their sleep.
You gotta
the
get their sleep.
scientists.
That's it.
All right.
So,
Well, I mean, I feel like, like I said, you have to put one guy that can handle any essentials. So I feel like a scientist would be. We do have like a meteor hits.
So think of it
You
this
need
way.
one guy who can go, all right, it's granite, and that's what this means.
So think of it this way. Like, these guys have, like, Einstein working on this stuff. The Winder, and they have, like, the best guy in, like, your chemistry class from high school on the task. You know, and exactly. Like, that's what I'm getting at. Like, they have somebody that can look at this stuff, but, like, he's a dumbass. He doesn't know what he's doing.
But he's also lying, and is
Like I said, third best.
lying about the extent of his capabilities as well. He's overselling himself. So people are going to believe him, and then it's going to lead him down the wrong path.
Maybe not.
That's where they're going to wake up, and so they're going to go, yeah, we fucked up all the crops. And everybody's going to go, oh, we're dead.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We all wanted breakfast, actually.
Yeah. So
Turns out you didn't grow it.
there's no hash browns. We fucked up the potatoes. We're sorry.
No, but if they all woke up and
How
there
do you
was no
fuck up
breakfast.
potatoes?
So that's there. So
That's
you,
like the easiest
Matt
thing
Damon
to
grew them
grow.
on Mars.
you said earlier that you didn't realize they were working together. The reality is they're not. They are supposed to be. But if there were to be a war, it's going to be between the daytime and the night shifters.
Because there's not
Because-
anyone other else.
There's nobody else that they know of.
Somebody's.
Well, it sounds like there was a revolt in the
There was,
lore.
a long time ago, yeah.
Ages,
things get bad-
eons ago.
It's because the Who Closed Tonight
Yeah, exactly.
problem was so bad one of the times that a war sparked out. That's when people are walking to bed. All right, time to go to bed during the overlap. And people stop them and they go, not so fast. I'm kicking your ass because you didn't do this.
You didn't do the dishes.
We have no food.
This 3-bin sink is full of dishes.
So
They're only
that's-
supposed to be in one of the bins.
There needs to be a backup in case there's no food. They have a bunch frozen somewhere already.
Oh, I'm sure
that's
they do.
like
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So it's still, you're saying now that the night shift is an elected position, though? Or is it like,
oh, no,
well,
it's
you're
still,
born
like,
into that type
you're
of
born into it.
situation?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're born into it.
It's like the time of day you were born. They're just like, oh, he's awake. Here, or not the time of day, I guess time of year.
He's a normie.
Sure.
So they'd be like, oh, he's born. He just woke up. Give him a shovel. You know, he's
So-
got a job.
They would be born like during the hibernation.
I don't know. I guess I hadn't really thought about that part. I kind of still
Depends
viewed
on
it
the
as
pod.
like still more selective breeding. So like, because this is a necessity.
gotta-
Poor kid.
We gotta hurry up and fuck.
A baby's born right before hibernation. They go, up, turn around, go
Sorry.
to bed.
Sorry, go see the winter midwife.
You were just born. Time to go to bed.
But yeah, so like there's a
Babies do
slight
sleep a
time
lot.
skip here. You know, very very slight. We'll just say like maybe a couple of weeks, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So Darren is looking over some reports at his unit's base of operations.
Just trying to figure out the earthquakes.
Basically, yeah, things are pretty quiet right now. You know, everybody that should be hibernating, they are. You know, the streets are empty. And there's only essential lights on. You know, where needed to illuminate. Where this would be normal, like metropolis. Like, you know, this is like a huge city. You got to think like everybody essentially like in the world is here.
We get it. There's no. You keep saying it so much, I don't believe it.
Well,
There is
believe it.
another
That's
city.
it.
They'll write another one.
But yeah, as the night winds down, you know, a few members of the unit are all huddled around a fire, enjoying some good food and drink. You know, Darren decides to join them. One thing I hadn't mentioned here yet is like these guys, like you know, the basically like Darren's position. There's several of them. They have like ultimate authority over everything right now. So they know all the state secrets. Like they know absolutely everything going on. You know, and that is kind of essential to the ending. That like it's pretty rushed, I'll be honest. So we may or may not change the ending when we get to it.
Okay.
But it's essential that he knows like, you know, all the state secrets that they have, like all the research and development, everything.
So I've already written the other city.
Good. Moving on.
No. What it is there is a lot of thievery. There's such a big opportunity. They go through people's stuff during the hibernations. It gets, you know, and they just know
Pillaging.
They're like, I got 9 months until anyone's gonna catch on to this,
Yeah.
you know, or whatever.
Stole this TV.
So, and like you said, they have access to all the info. They know what people do. They know when they're waking up and all this kind of stuff. So they can just pillage and then move out. And if you said it's like a dead zone,
They're just squatters.
well, there's just like a thieves, you know,
A den of thieves.
settlement
just like,
somewhere
ways away.
where it's just like every season people just show up as like, oh yeah, the season's coming to an end. People started showing up with more stolen goods.
Well, they'd get pretty murdered pretty fast in this setup.
I don't know.
Unless they have a really good way of sneaking
forces.
in. Yeah.
So it's like ninjas versus the special force
Sure.
night
Yeah, like
rangers.
kind of. Like that's kind of how I visualize this. Like they are protecting everything. So like whether it's from outside forces or inside, who knows?
I'm just saying there's a huge opportunity for like black market and
Someone
stuff
who
like
didn't
that.
want to hibernate anymore. They're like, we powered
I don't know
through.
if they have a choice.
Yeah, that's what I'm at. That's kind of what I'm stuck on. Or I was wondering too. Is it? It's like just a biological thing. at
Yeah,
this
it's a
point, where
biological
it's like,
thing. Like
there's no escaping it. You got to go to bed.
yeah, you have a partner in crime that's a normie. Like they're in a barrel for 3 months while you wheel them
What
around.
what
you
if
know? Like,
what if we added another thing where like a sleep medication, like an
What's the weekend at Bernie's?
well, no, I was gonna say like what if like a sleep medication or something became like somebody could get a normal human cycle where they're like,
that's kind of a cool
hey,
idea.
take this pill
actually.
and you'll go to bed for 8 hours, and
Yeah.
then you can do this every day. And
That's the alternative.
Yeah,
Or
like we're
now
gonna
you-
give
now
you
you can
this
be
pill
awake
and you're
all
gonna
year.
wake up in 8 weeks. You have a month to go do whatever the hell you
think
want.
of how legit that would be for somebody who's like, oh yeah, I'm awake all year.
Yeah.
Like I know what's going on all the time, and I don't have the vulnerability of hibernating or whatever. Like I just go to sleep for 8 hours a day. Seems obvious.
Yes, seems like the obvious choice.
Why is anybody doing it otherwise? I don't understand. But no, but maybe that's what it is. You pop this pill,
It's
you go
just
to
been
bed
what
for
they've
8
been
hours.
doing for so long that they got used to it.
Yeah, but yeah, and here like
Somebody
it's
goes, you know,
biological.
you can
like,
break it up,
You
right?
pass out.
Right?
That way you can use these small nail clippers instead of those giant scissor
Nah,
things you all use.
I
head
do like
trimmers.
the thought
Yeah,
of like they
exactly.
literally cannot
Trim them every
control
week
it.
or so.
They can't stop the sleepiness from hitting in. So like maybe like the president and all their leaders are like in the bathrobes and slippers, and they're like
like Ferris Bueller at the end.
they're getting tucked into bed while this important information transfer is happening.
State of the Union.
That's the president comes on TV. He's like in pajamas. He's just like, my fellow Americans. It's like we're all getting a little sleepy right now.
but anyways, like yeah, like so Darren joins his couple of few troops here. They're all just eating and drinking. Like they're having a good time around this fire. So they begin to start telling some jokes and some stories to pass the time. One of them starts to talk about the girl he meets during the transition weeks. Like only to see her eventually end things with him after finding someone who doesn't sleep for 9 months. Kind of thought it was like that's kind of a fucked up thing that could happen. Like you start seeing some girl, but you only have like a few days to a week out of a year each time to see her. Then like the next time you see her, well, now she's married. Maybe she's got a kid the next time around. Like it's like that kind of
And
sucks.
then you're just gonna have 3 months of nightmares
Yeah, basically.
about her new boyfriend.
Yep, basically. I mean, he could go kill the guy
terrible.
if he wanted. You know what I mean? Like he has full authority. Well, not full authority. He just could go do whatever the hell he
Yeah,
wants.
imagine how many murders would happen day
yeah.
one of the sleep.
Yeah, it'd be like
where
the
people are just
Purge.
Like, I've been tossing and turning for 9 months about you, asshole.
But like if they just like unplug the pod, that would do it, or they
Not
would have
really.
to-
They would just wake up like super weak. That'd be all it really is.
Okay.
Like, cause like you can still hibernate, but like basically technology's just come to a point where just like nothing. There's no consequence.
They would
to
just
it,
have a bad
essentially.
sleep.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
just-
much.
It'd be like when your blankets, like your feet aren't covered the
He's
whole
just
night or
changing the
something.
sleep number settings on his
Yeah.
Exactly. It's too firm.
Ah, my neck is killing me.
See how you like, hey,
So another one
too
starts talking.
firm.
another starts talking about how they got just absolutely hammered during the transition. It's caused all kinds of trouble. They got thrown in jail, but ultimately they had to be released. They're the Windern. It's like the jailers are gonna go to sleep. Like who's gonna watch them? Like they had to let them out.
I feel like you would get hammered before hibernation because, like,
No, these are
No,
the guys
these
gonna
are
be
right
awake.
after hibernation.
well, I was gonna say, but before hibernation,
partying
because
it
then
up.
think about it, you're like,
A 9-month hangover.
I mean, late 30s. No, I'm just saying late 30s. I mean, the hangovers are already a few days,
Right.
so it would
Already
make
9
sense of
months?
like, hey,
We've
if we're really
talked
gonna
about-
go hard, I'm hibernating tomorrow. Like,
Talked
we
about
can do whatever.
Yeah, but I kind of thought that was a funny idea too. It's like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? Like
Yeah.
you need me. It's like, damn it, he's right. It's like, well, all right, release him.
Yeah, especially if you're actually good at what you do,
Yeah.
and be like, this guy's the #1 plumber.
Yep.
plumber
He's
we got,
the only
you know?
plumber we've got.
Yeah.
So yeah, Darren, makes a mental note, like, all right, let's keep an eye on that guy. But another soldier starts to tell a different tale. This one starts talking about how he took like an interest in historical texts. They were the ones. Like, this guy has like been reading for years, essentially. Something that Darren had a little bit of knowledge of, history, but not much. As the soldier talks, he starts to tell the story of what's called I called it the Black Winter, but it could be the Winter of Blood. Is also another word if I had for it.
Is this a lore break?
This is more lore.
Not really. I mean, it's this is the story in the story.
Are we in a lore break?
It's a little bit. It's a mild lore break. It's a mild one.
All right, so
We're
we got
taking a pit stop. It's a lore pit stop.
the Bloody Winter.
Yep. So not much is known about this period of time, but it was the deadliest time in world history. Completely reshaped everything. Long before the creature comforts of the current day and before the creation of the winter. And so this is before like the night shift even existed. Hibernation.
I guess
This created the need for the night shift.
Yes.
They maybe didn't have the technology that needed any upkeep. So just people in caves or something. Like
I'm figuring more like a primitive or maybe like Middle Ages type of deal.
What I'm saying is
like that.
you didn't really need anything.
Yeah.
Like there was no heat or anything like that. So
yeah, you didn't have the night shift then. Like
we didn't have refrigeration.
Everybody just asked out for a few months, and that was the way it was. So everybody depended on foraged and stored items for weeks to give them strength when they woke up. Like
just picturing the sound difference of like if you were on the night shift and the 90% of people are sleeping, you just be walking through town and you just hear snoring and farting.
I'm kind of picturing, like people would just drop where they are and fall asleep if they didn't make it in time.
No, yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I kind of pictured it as like they know like it's coming on, or it's like, all right, I got to get back. Like it's happening, like type of deal. But yeah, so in like the Winter of Blood, the Black Winter, whatever you want to call it, so during this one single winter, a calamity happened. In this,
oh no,
yeah, calamity. Exactly. And this is where there were other cities in the world, but they were destroyed. All of them are gone. Like
before night shift.
Yeah, before the night shift. And the few survivors, they all took refuge in a single city. It was many years before humanity made any form of recovery, and the knowledge and technology of the time was lost completely. It was just erased. Like they're starting from scratch at this point. So I kind of picture this as like this is the apocalypse. Like this happened to them, and like they've kind of had to come back from that. So
I don't think that's a big deal. They didn't have much. They didn't even have a night shift.
they didn't. So like this happened, and like again, like all these cities are destroyed. Nobody knows what happened. Like this is like basically some people just woke up and are like, "What the fuck?"
Well,
like
everything's
everything's gone.
Confusing anything can be when you're just waking up.
Well, yes,
anything
exactly.
out of the ordinary, you're just what? Huh? So just picturing a whole, like you say, the biggest city in the world. Just everybody just, what? Huh? Just looking at each other and they're all shaking their heads. Is it, what? Was somebody just knocking?
So eventually,
it would be weird, like though, if like a snap of the finger and everyone falls asleep, or like all at the same time and you wake up literally like instantaneously, instead of like one by one.
But yeah, like eventually, like basically it took
just at their doorsteps, like almost made it.
It took years to for them to kind of congregate in one city, and but eventually a massive crater was discovered, and it was so everybody's thinking okay, maybe something from the heavens dropped and just destroyed all these cities. They just don't really know.
I was just picturing something that loud in the one city remaining. Everybody just it's enough to make them in their sleep just be like, what the hell was that? And you just hear that all over town. Some meteor hit on the other side of the world. Everybody just goes, oh, come on. What the hell was that?
Yeah, but nobody could ever find any kind of asteroid or meteor, whatever the hell it's called.
But now here's the crater.
Yeah, but there's just this big ass crater.
But it's
just referred to as the desolation. So it's just basically this area of just nothingness. But it can still be found
the
today.
desolation card.
Yeah, it can still be found today. So he's just kind of telling this history of what's going on, and everyone's just kind of reflecting on it, because again this happened, and it wiped out almost all of the world's population, killed almost everyone. Only a handful of people survived. They all got to one city and they rebuilt.
And this was ages and ages
ago. Yeah, exactly. So As the soldier wraps up his story, another tremor is felt underground. Darren went outside to see if anything's happening, but visibility was pretty low. Again, it's winter. Of what could be seen, Darren didn't see any signs of trouble. The tremors at this point, they're getting a little more frequent. He'd have to visit the team working on the tremors in the morning. So remember, like, you had the best guy from your chemistry class, like, looking over these tremors, like, trying to figure out what's going on. So he's about to go visit, the jock that, is just basically getting passed by the teacher to be on the football team.
So you're asking me to just picture a high schooler
Yeah.
handling the science.
Yes.
And
Yes, I am.
he's going to be so full of shit.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
He's just going to be like, oh, this is obvious seismic activity.
You see the squiggly line? It shouldn't be this squiggly.
Yeah, it's too squiggly, and the squiggles are big.
Yeah,
much
they're
bigger than they
really
should be.
big, and I don't like those squiggles.
Yeah, so that's the thing, is that everybody else has to just go, oh, okay, and they're just going to be like, I don't think this guy knows.
This
This guy doesn't know squiggles.
Like, have you seen the guys that do like the fake sign language interpreters?
Oh, those are so good.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen the real videos.
Like,
It's
you
very
got-
impressive.
You got hired to do this?
Yeah, it's very impressive that they make it that far and that they have the confidence to just be like, nobody's going to notice.
People aren't actually deaf. Like, come on.
He's not actually a deaf guy here.
Nobody's going to know.
It looks so easy.
How many do you think you can get through
I bet I
before,
can do that.
before you
Must
get
be
caught?
with
Like,
the
Zero.
You think every time you should expect to get caught?
Yes.
Well, then how would somebody make it? They make it to like large events.
Yeah, they lied
Yeah,
to the
they're
right
just
people.
They waited last minute and they booked somebody they got off of Craigslist.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I don't know. I saw this guy on Grindr said he knows sign language. It's like, so we're gonna bring him in.
On Fiverr.
But yeah, so anyways, like, next morning comes, Darren heads to, back to the HQ, like, basically to find these guys, trying to look over the science here. This time scene's much different. Instead of high-ranking military officials everywhere, scientists, whatnot, it's almost silent, and it's mostly dark. Makes his way through the building, and he finds his team, and he asks them to brief him on any new developments. Again, he's like asking these idiots. Although this type of work was not their specialty, they could determine that there was a bit of a pattern to the tremors. The tremors seemed to be moving closer to them from the east. Darren thought to himself, but only for a moment, that was the direction of the desolation. So, obviously, he's like, okay. He's reflecting back
I had
on
a
this
feeling it
soldier
had something
story.
to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
The redesolation.
So before he could think any further, a loud explosion-like sound is heard. Darren runs to a window, grabs his binoculars, because I didn't mention it sooner, but apparently he has binoculars, and he sees that a building in its patrol area is completely collapsed.
I'm really upset you didn't foreshadow the binoculars.
I know. It's a fuck up on my part, and I'm
How
sorry.
am I supposed to expect that he will have
He
binoculars?
just pulls them from out of nowhere, and he's just got them.
A military man
Yeah.
with binoculars. I think we need to set that up.
So yeah, he sees like a building's collapsed, and he just sees like smoke billowing from the ruin. So again, like explosion, whatever. It was like, okay, what the hell is that? So with haste, Darren.
Someone's pressure cooker pot.
Yeah, there you go. He's left it on the stove
Oh
too
shit!
long.
I had a roast going.
Darren, meets his soldiers at the wreckage. So he flies over there. He's like, what the hell's going on? Nobody saw anything. Buildings simply just collapsed without warning. This is bad, obviously. Like this is like a civilian building. Like a lot of lives were just lost.
They just
they're all hibernating.
Asked the expert. He's like, yeah, that's not good at all.
Yeah.
That shouldn't have happened.
We need to
This
Jack
was
Hartnell
bad.
for this.
A high school kid goes, "This is bad."
He orders his soldiers to patrol the area, report back with any new information. As he's investigating what he could of the ruin, he receives a message on the radio: Major Kaine, you need to see this. Sending you coordinates.
So if it's terrorism during the night shift, would we call it night terrors? Is that what's happened?
It's pretty good, but
It's
no.
not. It's not. But I had to say it.
So as Darren arrives
Not
at the
funny.
coordinates that he was sent, a large trail of blood could clearly be seen. He starts to question his soldiers about it, but they just direct him to another area. I was like, you need to see this. A hole is torn into the side of a building, and inside is this horrific scene of just blood and mutilated bodies.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, eerie silence falls upon Darren and the soldiers as they try to make sense of what they're seeing. After collecting himself, Darren knew he needed to contact the other majors. So like we got a building that just came down. We got a blood trail, mutilated bodies. There's blood everywhere. What the hell is happening? He's trying to reach out to the other people that are in charge in the other areas. So as Darren begins to frantically call over the radio, another large explosion sound is heard. This time outside of his patrol area. Darren continues to try to call over the radio, trying to reach other units, but everybody is just trying to make sense of what the hell's going on. Because, like, this isn't normal. This doesn't happen. So...
This is bad.
Yeah, exactly. This is bad. Another building collapses, followed by another. At this point, Darren's screaming over the radio, trying to reach anybody. He's only met with silence. Another tremor is felt. This one feels like it's right under him. So...
Something's about to pop.
Something's about to pop. Yeah, you got it.
What do you think is going to pop, Savage?
It's a tremor. It's an alien worm tremor.
You think it's a real tremor? You think that he's secretly written Tremor
Kevin
6?
Bacon is Darren.
Kevin Bacon makes his return to the Tremor series in Spaceman's Tremor 6.
We need to get back to base.
Their vision's based on heat.
Darren begins to frantically move his soldiers out of the area. As they're running through the street, another building collapses, almost on top of them. Their only option to get around this collapsed building is they need to go underground to get around it. So we got split tunnels there.
They're going to tunnel around a tremor?
No, a building collapsed. So they're trying to get under the building to get around.
That's where the tremors
the worst
are.
place they could be.
Exactly.
It's not
We're
great.
going to go farther underground.
You guys hear that?
No.
Let's start digging towards it.
You guys hear that? Brr. You hear that tremor? Sorry, had to.
Got him.
So they enter the tunnel. One of his soldiers is just absolutely losing it. Like, what the hell is going on? Darren doesn't have any answers.
Smack him. Get it together, man.
Get it together.
Can they all on day one wake up with like penises drawn on their faces and stuff?
I just assume
in the
that
military.
It's a prank.
Yeah, like they're like totally like they're like just waking up into this huge problem and they have to deal with it, but the guy just has like a big dick drawn on his cheek or something, and they just have to ignore it and all like I don't know. So he can say very serious things, and then another guy will like look at him and be like, "Heads attack, load the torpedoes." And the guy's like, "Okay, sure."
Should we give him the money shot, Captain?
Yeah.
Anyways,
Johnson.
So like Darren doesn't have any answers here. He can only move his team. As they're walking through the tunnel, strange noises can be heard, echoing all throughout.
Yeah, don't go in a tunnel.
Yeah, they're terrified at this point. Never seen anything like this. Never heard anything like this. They don't know what the hell's going on. Team makes their way through the tunnels. They finally reach a ladder.
Are they on foot?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they finally reach a ladder that leads up into a building that they all climb through.
They're in the sewers?
Yeah, kind of. Maybe that, or just like a subway tunnel, type of deal, something like that. As they make their way through the halls of this building, they find more massive holes torn through rooms where people once slept. So again, like big just holes like torn through the side of a building, blood everywhere, mutilated bodies, all reduced to puddles of blood and bone. Holy shit, someone exclaims, like they need to move. As they near the front entrance of the building, a creature suddenly drops in front of them and lets out an ear-piercing shriek. The teams open fires. Like whatever this was, it's not going down easily. Several soldiers, were grabbed and ripped apart in front of Darren. Their power is just absolutely unreal. After battling for minutes, which felt like hours, the remaining soldiers of the unit found their way outside. So I'm picturing with this, obviously we've gotten to this point, these tremors are just swarms of these creatures actually like tearing apart rock and like whatever they need to get through to like get to this city. So they're coming from this like old desolation area.
This movie did just become a
me
little
like
bit
the
like
movie
Tremors.
Alien
A
or
little bit.
Resident Evil.
Yeah, I'm picturing almost kind of like a quiet place too, like something, all that kind of stuff, all kind of like, yeah, I took a little bit of inspiration from there.
Yeah.
So like these things, like they've been hibernating for like thousands of years. They've just been like underground. Yeah.
Imagine
their
their morning breath.
Yeah, that's gotta be terrible.
All right, that was a good one. I like that one.
Yep, they need some Mentos.
So you're saying, but we don't even know. Are they're going to be up for months?
Let's
Or
hear
is
some
this-
more
Don't
lore.
know. Yeah.
So essentially, imagine that you just go to bed. You're like, all right, I got to go to sleep for 3 months, You go,
And
you're
now
like,
you're just easy
no, you're
picking.
you're so peaceful the entire time, and then you wake up and you're like, it's like your alarm going off. Oh, I don't want to go to work, and then you finally get up and you go outside, and everybody's just like, we have these things to deal with now.
He wakes up and rolls out of bed, and it's like the whole entire apartment has disappeared around him. It's just like the bed is cut out. Still there.
Oh no!
Yeah.
You look out the window.
What
There's just
the-
monsters
Yep,
chasing
Rick
everybody.
waking up on Walking Dead, basically.
Should have hit the snooze button.
But yeah, it took nearly all of their bullets to just put down
Carl.
just this one creature. Chaos unfolding outside of the city, like is just thousands more of these things all pouring up from underground.
Yikes.
Building after building's collapsing.
Are these like insectoid creatures?
It could be
What are
anything
they?
at this point. I just have them as like horrifying creatures, essentially.
I picture them
sounds
as
like
the
it.
creatures from Tremors when they started walking
Or
on
like
2 legs.
the Descent.
Yeah, okay. I just picture them just big, bulky, just monstrous. Like they are not fucking around. So yeah, chaos everywhere outside. Like building after building collapsing. Like tremors reach their peak. And then the whole east side of the city just collapses, pouring forth thousands more of these things.
Ugh.
So they are just
They've all just woke up
overrun.
hungry.
We're here.
Is what
Yep.
you're telling me.
We're
Oh,
here
yeah.
for dinner.
So Darren looks at his remaining soldiers and he orders them to get
They're-
anybody alive
They're
out of the
armed.
city.
You said they open fire.
Oh, yeah.
So they've got like military rifles and
Yep.
stuff like that.
Oh yeah, so he orders his troops to.
Do they have like tanks and?
No,
like,
no, not. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not ready for this
Yeah.
kind of thing. So yeah, he's like, they're opening fire, like like all this stuff. But Darren looks around.
What's like the magic, like sorcery situation in this alternative universe? Do they have like a wizard or something that they can
Wizard?
be casting spells or?
No, I didn't. I
that-
didn't have any wizards.
I distinctly also remember a wizard.
There's no wizards.
No, I don't
I'm
remember.
sorry.
I have no idea what he's
That's-
talking about.
Can that
no
be part
magic,
of the
just
lore?
monsters. No wizards.
We need
no
some
magic.
obsidian glass.
But yeah, Darren looks around outside. He knows what's going on right now. He sees it like this is fucked. Like this is the end. He orders his soldiers like anybody left alive, get them out of the city. He told them don't trouble yourselves with anybody but the Windurn. So like anybody who's hibernating right now, they're done. Soldiers try to argue with him, but they quickly realize like he's right. There's nothing to be done.
There's no way to just wake somebody up.
No, there's not. Like you just have to go grab a wheelbarrow and start like
So,
throwing them in.
I mean, this is
please
the only
wake up. And
city
she's just
though.
like-
Like, where do they go? Where do they fall back to?
Yeah.
He's like, Mom, please wake up, please. And she's just like, go away, 5 more minutes. He just can't.
But yeah, there's nothing to be done for anybody but who is awake
Too
right
sleepy to defend yourself.
She just can't comprehend what you're telling her.
now. But he knows there's
That's
one last
silly,
thing
baby.
he can
Let
do.
me 5 more minutes.
He knows there's one last thing he can do, and he asks for volunteers. Anybody willing to come with him? Many of them volunteer. The city's lost. Their only hope to not lose everything and everybody is him telling get anybody you can out of the city. During the winters, the majors are given complete control of all resources and weapons. Darren knows there's a secret weapon that he only hopes is operational.
They couldn't try to wheel everybody to
Are you gonna go through a bunch of monsters slaughtering everybody to try to throw a few
I'm
people in
picturing
a
it like
wheelbarrow?
a zombie movie.
Where are they gonna
like-
go? Like to the desolation crater or whatever? There's
Well, they have
nothing
like a stadium
outside
or
of the
something.
city.
It's like a huge city. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm
It's
saying.
basically like a
just
soup bowl
gathering
at that
in like a
point.
tuna can. Just pack them in like sardines.
That's how
It's
they did
easy
it in.
pickings.
You guys see the zombie show Black Summer on Netflix?
No.
No.
It's pretty good. It's actually very good. Season 1, anyways. But that's their whole goal. Is they're like, we got to get to the stadium. Everybody says the military's got the stadium, blocked off. So I'm just saying,
They
there
got
are
a
ways.
lifetime
Yeah.
supply of hot dogs.
Well, there's monsters everywhere. The entire east side of the city is collapsed, and there's thousands of monsters coming out. So Darren's unit, they fight their way through the streets, and they get back to their HQ. Many of the creatures were met and dispatched along the way. Some were too busy killing and eating people that were asleep to pay them any mind. So literally walking past these creatures, just going to town on these
They're just
people.
land piranhas. Is what
Yeah,
you're telling me.
basically. They have no choice but to quietly just move on and not engage where possible because they want to try to save some ammo. So they get to the HQ, they start making their way level by level, fighting where they have to, and then they come upon the sub basement, whatever you want to call it, that
So
Darren
these
was looking
things
for.
are like eating through walls. They're eating through the ground.
I imagine they just like blast through a wall. They just like smash it open and get through.
Okay.
So yeah, they're just
Super
super
strength,
strong.
super hungry.
Yep. And just like mutilating people, like grab a human and just rip them in half immediately. So yeah, it's all kind of messed up. So he finds the weapon he was looking for, and it's an explosive device with untold power. So it's basically a nuke. Is what I came to here. So like they get to this level, Darren starts trying to read through the instructions. Remember, like all these scientists are passed out. He doesn't have anybody to help him. He starts reading through the instructions with the help of his team, and he manages to arm the device at this point. This created a ton of noise.
What if they don't know what it does? They were like, we've never had to turn it on before.
Yeah,
We're
and that
not
could
sure
be an
what this
alternate
thing-"
ending. Like that's kind of where I was at. This is a little bit rushed, I feel, as far as the ending goes, because like it's not a ton of
Like,
setup
they
to it.
think it's a nuke, but it's not a.
It's like new this
sets off
year.
like a
Yeah,
audio
it's just like a
impulse or
tornado
something.
siren that just calls more of them.
I didn't get through the training. I just remember them mentioning this.
But yeah, this is like what they're doing is just creating tons of noise. So dozens of these creatures start to pour into this room. You know, they hack and slash their way through Darren's team.
Are they drawn by noise? Like,
Yeah,
or
well, I mean,
vibration or what?
like there's just so many of them. Like, of course, it's going to call some attention. It's not exactly a quiet place where they're just picking up on any sound or anything. It's just like if you're going to make a
Seems
ruckus,
like
they're
they've
going to
come
look
through
for
there
it.
before,
Yeah,
so they're
most
probably
things.
just like making rounds.
Yeah. Yep. So like his team is just getting just slaughtered right now. So the last measure is finally taken to ready the device, and Derek can hear no more gunfire. So his team is just dead. It's just him now.
All they hear is just chewing.
Basically, yeah.
Like you and your friends in a car at 3 a.m. with Taco Bell. I just hear,
Yep. So he turns and he stands face to face with one of the monsters. And it hisses and swipes at him, removing his leg instantly. So it takes his leg clean off.
Oh.
Darren, fell, but he manages to pull himself up, and he smashes a button that starts a countdown. The creature turns its head at the sound, looking around, like here's it coming over loudspeakers or whatever, and then just finishes Darren off in one swing. And then the Windurn that lived, basically, remember, they're kind of getting anybody they can outside of the city. They turn and see the most brilliant flash of light as they flee the city. And that's basically the end.
so they just
he's
nuke
able
the
to set
city
it
and
off.
They nuke the
escape
city.
into the nothingness of the rest of the world.
Well, Darren didn't escape though.
Yeah, he's dead. He's very dead.
Yeah, he died.
Yeah.
I did hear that.
Extremely dead.
So there
Okay.
goes that recurring character.
Yep. Yeah, he's gone. There's no recurring,
I'm still
role for
picturing
him.
Damon Wayans licking his gold tooth.
So
Well,
you
he's
think
not anymore.
that did it? Did that wipe them all out in one fell swoop? Then
Yeah, and that's where like I kind of just I left it obviously a little bit open ended. It was like maybe it finished him off. It probably didn't.
So here's my problem: is that I don't think the monsters would be. You said they've been hibernating for however a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they would be exclusive to the city.
Probably
so I
not.
think that you'd be like, let's get out of here, and you're just running through the desert, and then you go, fuck, there's just as many out here as there is in there. There's nowhere to hide. We're in the
There could
desert.
be.
Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
no, I think
Uh,
maybe like he's trying like there. It's a last ditch effort. We got to get to the nuke and arm it, and he doesn't get to it. You ever think that's like your last hope or something? And then one of the soldiers figures out that it's like in signs where they're like allergic to water or something, like some simple thing that they were able to finally fight him off with, like an audio signal,
like an
or
Ernest
something
scared,
like crazy like that.
Ernest scared stupid. They would get killed by love.
Right.
Here's
hear
a
ya.
friendship bracelet.
I hear you. No, you kiss him. Ernest kissed him.
But yeah, like I just basically they're overrun. He, like essentially nukes the city. It's all done. Like
I
we've
think
just
you-
repeated the winter of blood.
Like he's got to kill the queen, and then the rest of them die off because of that one's been wiped out.
Maybe that's the sequel. But yeah, like I just I don't do a whole lot of happy endings, so this is just kind of right in line
Yeah,
with
that's
that.
pretty bleak.
It's pretty
So
bleak.
there's like 4 or 5 people that made it outside of the city.
Yeah, there's
They're
not
just
many.
knocked
That's
back
for sure.
to the Stone Age now.
Yep. All their technology's gone once again. You
No,
got to
I-
hope there's some women that survived, because if not, like that's going to be pretty dire.
I feel like it goes
And they're gonna
on-
fall asleep in 3 months, so they better get to work.
I feel like
Jesus, Savage.
Building a shelter.
Okay.
I feel like
okay, shelter. All right.
I
I
feel
got
like
to recoup after after the whole town blows up.
it. Sorry. I thought you were playing
Because you're
something
saying
else.
that this is the winter months,
Yes.
or like the night shift.
Yeah.
So they only awake for the 3 months
Yeah,
out of
so-
the year.
Right, exactly. So like they're now gonna be asleep for like 9 months in like the middle of nowhere. Nothing's going on. Like they're gonna have to try to forage for like whatever they can find. You know, like to wake up to. Like, yeah, it's looking pretty bad.
here's what I got. So the creatures were a surprise.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody saw it coming.
Yep.
They've been hibernating for however long. The big question is, how long are they awake?
Yeah.
Everybody's on these different types of schedules and
Mhm.
all this kind of stuff. So I think what it comes down to is you have them running from the creatures. Obviously, the creatures are winning. It looks very bleak. We're coming to the end. And then it hits that moment where, you know, when it looks like you're painted into a corner, all the creatures start.
Well,
And that's when you realize
about to call it a day.
we can just hold out a little bit. We've won. And then they do. And
We
that's
just take
maybe.
it till
I
morning.
feel like that's how it would go.
Yeah, maybe they slept for
makes
a
sense.
1,000 years. They got
they're
like
awake
one
for
quick
an hour.
burst.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
come out for like 72 hours, and
Yep.
then they get pretty sleepy, and then we'll see it 600 years.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. For the
You know?
hibernation movie, that makes like the most sense, I think.
Just like locusts, they come out and they just.
Yep. And then
But they can't all be desolated. Like some of them have to go on to write about like the new lore about this
Yeah.
event.
right, exactly. Like I just kind of, it's just like a
Yeah.
vicious cycle.
They have to make
Yeah.
a note. Okay, no more hibernating in your house unless you have a bunker,
Yeah.
because otherwise everybody's got to come sleep in these bunk beds.
Well, I mean, bunkers are probably a bad idea too because they're like coming from underground, so
Well,
nothing's
it's
safe.
concrete though, or something. You
So-
know?
We need
They're
hammocks.
going through bedrock.
Get off the ground.
Oh yeah, you said they were just going through everything.
Oh yeah, they're going through everything. It doesn't matter what you have. Like they're screwed unless they get to the sky. Which, if they can figure out a way to have a
Live on
floating
a
fortress, then
hot
they're
air
probably fine.
balloon.
Sleep in a bubble.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, pretty bleak ending. That's kind of what I was going for. Like, there's a handful of survivors. They've nuked the city. Maybe they got the monsters. Maybe they didn't. They don't know.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of like the inspiration, like I said, Resident Evil movies, where like the monsters take over the whole town, and you know, like the 30 Days of Night, where the
Yeah.
vampires come, but only for so long.
Yeah, and 40 Days and 40 Nights, which we established.
All the classics.
Deep in the lore.
Josh Hartnett is deep in the lore of what was this one? Did you have a name?
Hibernation with a hyphen in the middle.
Nation.
Nation of Hibernate.
hyphen nation. That's kind of how I had it. But it could be the Children of Winter. Like I kind of had like a couple different names for it. So yeah, maybe tell us in the chat if you have a preference.
Well,
They don't.
They don't. Probably
They
not.
don't have a preference.
But yeah, like that's the story. Like I said, I kind of I wrote most of the notes when it was pretty just dark and dreary out in
Yeah.
like January, February. And like I know obviously it's starting to be spring now, so it doesn't quite fit, but I still like the idea, and I just like the idea of like
I could still use an app.
yeah, I could too. I just like the idea of like that world that just like like how does that look when like humans hibernate? Like that's just so bizarre to me.
A lot of smelly rooms.
Yeah, and a lot of morning breath.
There's a lot of rooms that if you were to walk in there, you'd go, "Phew, I've been farting in here for 8 months."
Hibernator.
It's like we can all tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the story.
All right. Well, I see.
Yep.
Any thoughts? Anything?
Well,
my
when you were
thoughts
first starting, I was like, okay, the tremors are like the sandworms or something like that. And then when you said it was like swarms of them, I'm still picturing like some kind of insectoid
Yeah.
creature or something that's like, locusts or something
Yeah.
just swarming.
Yeah, pretty much kind of what I was going for. Like I didn't really have it super determined because like it could be pretty much anything, at that point. But yeah, like clawing through rocks, coming through underground, and bursting up and like destroying buildings, like killing people everywhere. Like, yeah, it kind of fits. So yeah,
No?
pretty dark. I know. I'm sorry.
No, it could be all right. I had fun with it.
Yeah. It was a fun write.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
Well, I'll plug the social media. Check us out at linktree/WWFT pod. Has all our links. We have a Reddit, Discord, pretty much every social media. That's how you can find out when we'll live stream next. We live stream all these episodes, so you can get in the chat and comment during it, and we'll see all of them. And you can even contribute to the writer's room if you like.
Yeah, you got any lore? Drop it in there.
Yeah, especially lore breaks are the best time.
Hand-drawn
Lore break
maps.
is when you really want to get in there. And also, I was recently, if you're curious to hear a story of me pooping my pants in the 7th grade, I was recently on the Shits and Giggles Podcast. You can check that out, episode 27, titled Zeebz, a.k.a. ZB Pooper.
He
Just
hasn't
throwing that
gotten
out
over
there.
it. Don't worry.
I'll put the link in the description. But,
Serial pooper.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, well.
Done with that one.
Yep.
Will ya?
Yep. See ya.